Hello, I'm ZGALA, the Art Angel, and today I want to talk about 3 people who have inspired me this week. This is a new segment I'm trying out. Let me know what you think. I'm just going to jump right into it and tell you about my Korean mom, aka my business coach, Simone Grace Soel. She's runs several groups, but the biggest one is, I'm hesitating because I don't know what the biggest one is. The group that I'm in is called Home, and she also runs a pretty big group called Joyful Marketing. And all of her groups, she does lots of little pop-up groups, and she has a off-the-cuff podcast, and she says fuck freely, which I really admire, or appreciate. I don't know if admire is the right word. But she has inspired me in the usual ways that you would expect a coach to inspire you, but also on this broader scale, which has to do with all those things I was just stammering about. She doesn't hold herself in the box of convention. She's willing to try new things. She's willing to say things that might be offensive, all under the umbrella of being true to herself, being true to her own culture, as she likes to call it. And I just think that we need more humans like that in general. So while she does inspire me as a business coach, because she's awesome at what she does, she really also inspires me as a human being. She stands up for what she thinks is right. She puts money into the things that she stands for. She puts her time and energy in a very authentic way into the things that she believes in. And for that reason, she's on my list of 3 people who've inspired me this week. Another person who has inspired me this week is my housemate, Ben Loy, and he has been practicing sobriety for, I think, about 9 months now. He's entering the phase of looking at himself and reflecting on what he needs to make amends for, and that is a very difficult process. Some of you might know. I'm sure I don't know the totality of it. I only know my version of it, but and just to be clear, I have not gone all the way through a 12-step program. I've dabbled in them, and while I did stop drinking heavily several years ago now, I still had a drink as recently as 5 months ago. But that said, I no longer drink for sport, as I used to call it, and I am inspired more and more by people who do the necessary work to pull themselves out of a downward spiraling pattern, because I know it's not easy. And so talking to my housemate, Ben, has been inspiring because he's just willing to be a human being, willing to dive into that hard work of looking at himself, looking at where he wants to improve, looking at the ways that he was self-sabotaging. And this, whether it's drinking or overeating or having toxic relationships, there's so many ways that we humans don't take responsibility for ourselves. So anytime I see somebody doing that hard work to take responsibility for their own actions, I find that inspiring. And Ben Loy has been inspiring me this week as he shares some of that process with me. Third person who has inspired me greatly this week, I had in mind, and my mind is pulling one of those blank cards on me. Oh, I remember. It is a person whose name I don't know. That's probably why I couldn't bring it to mind. A man who was working on a fence for a neighbor of mine named Joe, and I walk around my neighborhood regularly, at least once, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And so I'm slowly getting to know some of my neighbors, those that are outside, which aren't that many. And this man was fixing some fencing in one of my neighbor's houses, and we got to talking about I was bragging about being back in a band, and he was saying how his son is a very good musician and used to be in a band, but he kind of put his foot down as the dad and said, no, you gotta go get some other skills first. And now his son is an underwater welder, making $350K a year, having a family, and is able to play music anytime he wants without it being the thing that's holding him back in life. And as an artist and a musician myself, I've struggled with this. I think many artists and musicians do. And I just thought it was inspiring, not so much from the don't play music, be a welder lens or side of things, although there's something about that that is appealing, but it was really his fatherly energy, his putting his foot down and making or telling his son that he needed to do something else at that phase of life. It's not that I regret my life, but I kind of wish I had more of that in my life, having grown up without a father figure and struggling to raise my son without he has a father figure in his life, but he's kind of a part-time, mostly absent father figure, and he has not put his foot down, so to speak. He has instead criticized him for not making more progress, even though he's made a fair amount of progress and he has a good job and he's fairly happy. But I do think that fatherly energy to really, it's a delicate dance, right? You don't want somebody to just overbearingly run your life when you're a young person. You need to make your own mistakes. But I do think that having somebody with that firm clarity in that father figure position can really make the outcomes of a life much more positive. And of course, we never know how things are going to turn out. I'm not trying to say one part of any of that is better than any other parts of it, but the totality of, and the part that really inspired me about this man is being that father figure who wants to inspire, that father figure who pushes a little bit to say, no, you need to make good decisions and take good care of yourself. I think when reflecting like on my housemate, who I mentioned, and his struggles with alcoholism and addiction, I think it's often that, and my own struggles with alcoholism and addiction, it's often that lack of clarity, that lack of a strong figure in our life. I'm using the father figure, but it could be a strong mother figure, could be a strong teacher figure, strong mentor who tells you like it is, who says, no, I think you're messing up and you need to do better. I think that's such an underappreciated and rare, sort of seems like a rare thing these days. So I found it very inspiring, this man who, just in this random setting while he was fixing my neighbor's fence, shared that aspect of his own experience with his son. And I wanted to put it on my list of people who inspire me, because I think a strong father figure, it makes such a huge difference in a child's life. And so many of us grow up without that, and we do okay. And I'm not trying to say that an overbearing father figure isn't detrimental. There's, of course, this delicate dance like there is with everything. But that's somebody who inspired me this week. So there you have it, the 3 people who inspired me this week that I wanted to share with you. That is my, when I say my Korean mom, that's because Simone Grace Soel uses that tagline, that heading, that title at times. She is from South Korea, and there's something about that culture that's infused in her culture. And she talks a lot about individual culture, and that's attached to how she inspires me, by being authentic, by being true to her own culture, her own individual culture, and promoting other people doing that. She's a very much an inspiration. And Ben, my housemate, in his willingness to take accountability for his own life and do the hard work of becoming more of the person that he wants to be, I find very inspiring. And the random dude working on the fence of my neighbor who was willing and is willing, I'm sure, to speak about being a strong father figure in his son's life and pushing him to acquire some good life skills that are going to serve him throughout his life. I think all three of those people were very inspiring to me this week. I'd love to know who inspires you, who's been inspiring you lately, who's inspired you over the span of time. If you care to share, you could help inspire me and others who read the comments. So please do that. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Please stay curious and courageous, and I'll be seeing you soon. Ciao for now.